Now, I don't often talk about communism directly, but I'm going to give my opinion on something because a lot of times when I get in an argument from somebody in the UK, I tend to just, you know, give up trying to keep formalities and be civil and just say, you know what, fuck you. You still have a queen for God's sake. You're living in barbarism. You're living in the dark ages. So don't tell me about what you think is right or wrong politically. Don't tell me about what other countries are doing. You're still a fucking monarchy. And they'll tell me about how that's bullshit, about how the queen is just a symbol, a tradition, but that they have a parliament, they have a prime minister, and all this other things. But the problem is, it doesn't mean anything because the queen still has absolute authority. The fact is, the queen has the authority at any time to dissolve these powers. So, how are you going to argue that point? How are you going to argue that the monarchy doesn't mean anything when the other sectors of political power only exist because she allows them to exist? This is the essence of moderator logic. The idea that somehow you have freedom just because the people that have authority over you say that you have freedom. It doesn't mean anything by just saying it. It goes by action. Either you have the right to do something or you don't have the right to do something. And if someone is coming against you, if someone is using violence or other coercive measures to prevent you from doing something, then you don't have that right. Are you going to defend that right, or are you going to just say, yep, I have that right, but conveniently enough, I don't have that right now? So you people in the UK, you do not have rights. You are not a democratic system. You are not a republic system. You are, in essence, a monarchy, an empire. You may as well just revert to calling yourselves Britannia, because you still have a queen that in essence has authority over other branches of government, and it means absolutely nothing. The fact that during the Olympics they had this big what to do, they made this huge play thing that, by the way, was bad. It was just ridiculous and boring. The queen and the prince were there. They didn't look too happy. Now, I know people in England try to be a little more reserved culturally. They try to be a little more polite and more refined and dignified. So they don't tend to get too excited. That's the theory anyway. What I seem to see is that the monarchy doesn't care because they know they have absolute power. They think so lowly of you that even at an event that is supposed to symbolize all the honor and all the ability and sportsmanship of good old England, they don't give two shits about. They're just there to keep formalities. They're not there because they give a fuck about the peasants that are, trying to symbolize their great nation. And this becomes more obvious in the fact that I just recently found out that they're going to rename the Big Ben the Queen. Why would you need to do that? You already have Victorian Tower, which isn't the current Queen, but the fact is, you already have a monument named after the Queen. Why do you need another one? And they want to put up more Union Jack flags and Queen pictures and stuff on airports and everything, because that doesn't sound like a dictatorship at all. So, you really have no say in how other countries need to run their business and how other countries, are tyrannical and fascist and everything, because you should start with yourselves, seriously. Uh, it just the England doesn't even have a constitution. I know they say they do, but I've yet to actually see this United Kingdom constitution. What you guys have is a bureaucracy. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but the problem here is that you don't have a constitution. The only aspect of a constitution I've seen is the decree that the monarch has absolute power. But what you have usually is just this multitude of laws that is interpreted by the prime minister and the parliament of house and everything like that. And from there, they just make it up as they go along, much like moderators. So you don't have a constitution. Now, mind you, a constitution doesn't guarantee you anything. But the fact is, if you had a constitution, then from there, the government would have to at least play by the rules. They would at least have to, give you the benefit of the doubt and, just I don't even know the word for it, humor you. They would have to humor you by interpreting this constitution and bending it and twisting it to their liking, but it would still be there. It would still be that road bump in between you and their enforcement. So it's like moderators in the sense that they have their terms of service, but it doesn't mean anything because, well, since the moderators can interpret it however they want, whenever they want, they have no accountability, they have no checks and balances, there is no representation of the people, there is only their power, and you as a participant have to abide by that power or else they're gonna fucking kick you out. That is absolute authoritarianism. That is, in essence, fascism. Because you have all this pride for your nation that doesn't give two fucks about you, but yet you're so proud of your nation. Why? Why are you proud to live in a place where basically you don't get to make any laws, you don't get to interpret those laws, you have no participation in it, and yet everybody else is telling you what the fuck to do? That's nothing to be proud of. There's nothing to be proud of in being a slave. So, you know what, UK, get your shit together. You still have an absolute monarchy, and all the other shit in between means absolutely nothing. It means jack diddly. So, that's just to all the people that I argue with that are from the UK and want to give me this bullshit, this run around about how they're more liberal than the West in general, like America and Canada and things like that. And about how, they're so sophisticated and they're so intelligent and so much better. No, the Queen owns so much land, so many resources. The Queen is super rich, and not only is she super rich, but you don't even make the attempt to deny the fact that she basically owns half the world. And, you're trying to act like you're so advanced, you're so civilized. You may as well be living in the fucking 1500s. And, that's what originally communism fought against. Before all of this imperialism, before the Industrial Revolution, there was the Russians fighting against the Tsars, or rather, the people of Russia fighting against the Tsars. And that's where the Soviets came into play. And even before the Soviets, there were the nihilists. There were the philosophical, political nihilists who said that anything is better than this. They did not have a long-term plan, but they figured anything has to be better than a Russian crown. And they failed in that revolution, but I think it paved the way for the Soviets to take advantage of and to usurp the power of the royal crown and stop it from being a czarship. And then from there, when the Soviet Union collapsed, Vladimir Putin got into power, and now Russia is a hyper-nationalist state. I would say that's still better than czars, but, they regressed. They went into a reactionary state, and Vladimir Putin has even said that he believes that many of the bigwigs in the Soviet Union were traitors to Russia. He was answering to them. He was in the KGB, and he's saying that the leaders of Russia, like Lenin and Stalin, were the traitors. Isn't that something? That's the audacity of that. So, I guess that's really all I have to say. I have 10-minute limit, so I can't really just go on. But I figured it was worth saying because I just can't believe this shit. We're in 2012, and one of the most powerful nations in the world still uses a fucking queen. I mean, just think about that for a second. Think about the implications of that. Think about the philosophical aspect of that. And, get back to me when you do.